ladies and gentlemen, dearly Geelong beloved, we are gathered here tonight to launch the new season, to christen the fresh voyage. And whilst it's true that our eyes are to the horizon, we remain warmed, I'm sure you'll agree, by what has gone before. I look around the room and I can feel the glow. I can almost see it. And it's got nothing to do with the beautiful light in Melbourne spilling through the windows. The lasting gratitudes, the beaming pride, the contentment, the joy that we all shared. It's endured through the summer. How could it not? We've lived these months, I think, as people set apart. There are, as it turns out, others, quite a lot of them actually, who regard last year's grand final as an anticlimax. A season grand in all ways bar the closing acts. Now, it occurs to me that these people probably regard the Mona Lisa as just a painting and the David as a nice sort of sculpture. Heathens. When I look upon that day, maybe for the sort of 35th time, I see a masterpiece in 20 steps, from Hawkins to Cameron. I could take you on the gold tour if you like, but I suspect you know them all so well. Every evening when I return home, in the front window is the night premiership poster, and it transports me back. It takes me back to Tom Hawkins opening with his signature moves, hitting the elbow off the top rope and the leg drop at the opening bell rather than waiting for the climax. His patented goals out of the ruck. Isaac Smith brushing them aside, untouchable in top flight. The sheer bulldozing work of Patrick Dangerfield. Tyson Stendhal menacing and threatening. The ever so deft touch of Brad Close. The poise of Jack Henry and Zach Guthrie when called to action. The tenacity of Mitch Duncan, the closing speed of Tom O'Connor. There's the slightly desperate Jeremy Cameron with his wraparound goal, the moment cooked up with Patrick Dangerfield at three-quarter time, and then suddenly Brandon Parfitt is bobbing up in the goal square as Brad Close again hand passes over his head this time. Now in my heart, and I'm not saying this is true and I won't say it outside the room, but in my heart this is the gift of Cam Guthrie. A player who never counted anything for himself, who ensured that he had just the right level of hamstring soreness to convince all those who needed to be convinced, to open the way for Parfitt to be on the ground. I'm not saying it's true, that's how it lives in my heart. And then there's Sam De Koning, lingering and lurking long enough up forward. He didn't sneak down forward. He went down there and he stayed and he pretended he was going back, and then he came because he had a weekly pledge to his teammates that one day he would kick a goal. And that seemed like as good a day as any. And then finally, inexorably, the ball is in Joel Selwood's hands for the sweetest goal that we ever saw in our football-loving lives. And the family tears watching that replay put a lump in my throat every time. I never imagined sport could be so perfect. It was the day that dangerous football turned lethal, and it was 20 goals to form a true masterpiece for those of us who know what we're looking at. A premiership, I think, that stands as the culmination of a decade-long mission to defy convention and dodge conformity. A quest that would never have been achieved if the club had listened to those on the outside. It would have been far easier to agree that our time had passed, to sink to the bottom, to embark on the rebuild, and let all the pressure seep away. We would warm ourselves on a night like this with draft picks instead of silverware. Instead, the club fought against the reckoning, and the genius of the coach and those around him was realised in a team reimagined. And that's the source of my lasting pride, my beaming pride and my lasting gratitude in what transpired in 2022. Each of us will have experienced it in our own way. It will be lasting for many of you. That's how it lasts to me. So that's the view for the misty-eyed. Forgive me, because today is the sharp-eyed, clear vision ahead. AFL premierships aren't defended, they have to be won all over again. And when you think back, our blue bloods, our golden generation, they couldn't go back to back. They won in their odd years. And on that measure, our misfits might be able to outstrip that golden generation. The players' president is now our club captain, and our defensive general is his noble ally. And a better pairing you couldn't imagine after what we've just lived through. And while there's so much that is familiar, and I think across the competition that is now revered, the real frisson of excitement is in what is emerging, what is undiscovered, and what will be unearthed over the coming 6 months. The thrill of watching Brad Close and Brian Myers and what they might do next. The anticipation of the encore of Tyson Stengel. No one will carry our hopes and our wishes more than Max Holmes through this campaign. There is such scope in Sam DeConey. He's the 2-year-old who won the Golden Slipper presenting into his 3-year-old season. There's so much potential in Ollie Dempsey, and I'm holding a candle for Asava down back. May the Henry boys have many a story day together. In from the frontiers, there's a chance for Tanner Bruin and Jack Bowes to have an experience, a true footy experience in our heartland. There's a Riccardi in the fold. Now, I can remember hosting Peter's testimonial dinner at Cardinia Park. It'd make you feel old, except that I think Oscar will keep us all young. And Jai Clark and his fellow draftees, well, you'll figure out for yourselves, but there's no better place to be in football. We can't wait to share your journey of this season and your careers ahead. So once more unto the breach, dear friends, one in hoops, as we march towards 2024.